The year was 1919. Woodrow Wilson was president. A stamp was 3 cents. A loaf of bread cost you 9 cents. And on January 18th of that year, Adolphus Thaddeus Watson was born in Clarendon, Arkansas, into a society where African Americans were marginalized by segregation. Watson was raised by his Aunt Fannie Trent, a proud woman born into slavery. Did she remember when she became free?
Yeah, she remember when they said they were free, but it didn't mean too much. And she couldn't read or write. So my job was to learn to read and write as quick as I could. And that's what I did.
As a young man, Watson became part of the Great Migration as he joined millions of other blacks headed north for a chance at a better life. He settled in St. Louis in 1942 with his wife and children. The trajectory of Watson's life was forever changed with the world at war. In 1944, Watson, by now the father of 3, was drafted into the United States Army. America's military was not exempt from the world of Jim Crow.
In World War II, the United States had 2 armies, a black army and a white army. You understand that?
As Watson went through basic training, preparing to fight for a country that practiced intolerance based on ignorance, the question would always come up. How can you fight for a nation where the color of your skin dictates so much? Watson's thoughts on the matter spoke volumes about his character and integrity.
I tell you, one day we would sit down with our white brothers and talk with them and try to make them understand this is the only home we know anything about now.
This was your home?
This is our home.
In 1944, Private First Class Watson and the members of the all-black 351st Artillery Unit boarded the Queen Elizabeth, headed for the United Kingdom. Upon arrival, the man raised by a former slave experienced something he had never known: freedom.
Scotland wasn't segregated at all. I tell you what, you felt good about it because we had never saw these things happen.
Winter 1944 was fast approaching, and the future of mankind hung in the balance. As the Allies prepared to fight what would prove to be the decisive battles in World War II, black soldiers faced the unthinkable. As if the Waffen-SS and Luftwaffe weren't enough to worry about, African Americans had to deal with even more hostility from their own countrymen.
The white soldiers hated us so bad.
American soldiers?
Yeah, American soldiers.
How did they treat you?
We fought.
Physically?
Yeah.
But Watson and countless other African Americans answered the call to duty, and in late 1944, the 351st found themselves in the Ardennes Forest in northeast France. The Battle of the Bulge was fought in brutal conditions as the Germans launched their last blitzkrieg, a surprise attack that inflicted severe losses on the Allies. "75 years later, a man who was there, a man who fought bravely under the American flag, still has difficulty talking about the experience.
It's just like a nightmare. You ever had a nightmare and you wake up that morning and you didn't believe it happened? That was the beginning. You were close enough for them to tear up your weapon around there. And oh, that much.
Watson routinely bled from his ears because of the intense concussions from artillery.
You couldn't put nothing to hear because you got to hear the commands as they come down.
The 351st more than held their own as the Allies beat back the Germans. Private First Class Watson earned 2 Bronze Stars for his service. The hero's welcome for America's troops only told part of the story. As he headed home, Watson asked a friend if the war would change white America's view on segregation. The answer was sobering.
They're going to feel like they owe you something, and they ain't going to want to give it to you.
Indeed, it would be another 20 years before President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act.
This Civil Rights Act is a challenge to all of us to go to work in our communities and our states, in our homes and in our hearts, to eliminate the last vestiges of injustice.
But segregation did not stop Watson from working in construction for 31 years while raising 6 children with his wife, Learlen. The priority in the Watson household was clear. Progress was to be measured in knowledge.
All of my kids got college education. Everything I did was worth it.
Webster's dictionary defines a hero as a person admired for achievements and noble qualities, and one who shows great courage. A black man born 100 years ago, raised by a former slave who fought for his country and paved the way for an entire generation to lead a better life, certainly qualifies.
You have to be patient with each other, love each other, try to understand each other.
Many who know the story of Adolphus Thaddeus Watson approach him to only say 2 words: thank you.
I want to thank them for remembering and caring, because I appreciate it.